Hi, friends, and welcome to another episode of We Read It One Night, the podcast where two sisters are insanely grateful to all of you for tuning in and making the podcast possible. In this week's episode, we're chatting about the bonkers marriage of convenience bonanza that is Xeni by Rebekah Weatherspoon. This book has chaotic bisexuals, Scottish hunks, and dramatic family secrets. If you like the show, drop us a rating and review and or click the link in the description to buy us a coffee. And without further ado, enjoy the show. What is that?
M&M's. I realized they're going to be loud.
Oh, I thought they were Adderall. I was like, all right, okay.
You thought they were what?
Adderall.
No. Should we get started with Xeni by Rebekah Weatherspoon?
Weatherspoon,
sorry.
right? I could be wrong.
Yes, I just checked.
I thought it wasn't.
No, you're
like
right. It's
Reese.
Xeni by Rebekah Weatherspoon. Very cool name.
I was reading another book recently where someone was named Xeni, and I was like,
Really?
that's if I had a nickel for every time.
What is her name short for?
I don't know. I don't think it's short for anything.
No, they definitely said a long form of it a few times.
Well, if they did, I didn't write it down.
There's a bunch of cute names in this. So the setup is that Xeni's aunt Sable has died. And so Sable, that's a cool name. And Xeni was like, Sable had 7 sisters. Like there was 8 of them, I think, total. Xeni's mom being one of them. And Xeni was like the closest to Aunt Sable. So she was like in charge of the funeral. And she's like in this upstate New York town, like ostensibly getting the estate in order. This book also had a British male narrator, which I thought was an interesting commitment.
Yeah, I have something to comment on that. But first, what is the name of the hero? Because I just scanned through my notes and I don't know whether I ever wrote his name.
Mason.
Yeah. Oh, I definitely did not write that. Okay. Yeah, no, I wrote for the British male, white male narrator. And he's like older, definitely past 50. I was like, what a choice to have this man narrate this book when all but one character are American.
I know.
When many of the characters, including the heroine and her entire family, are Black, and when the only non-American character is not English, but Scottish.
I mean, to be fair, the narrator could be Black. We don't know. I thought it was
He's
bolder.
not. He's white. I thought
it was more bold because it was a man, and it's like all white. Like her whole family is women except for her stepfather. Also,
no, he literally shares none of the identity with no character. Does he share an identity?
Yeah, no, I know.
And he can't do an American accent.
No, he can't. Maybe they like thought the Scottish accent was more important. He was like the only one that they could find because he does do a passable Scottish accent.
No, there's Americans that can do no.
Well, like maybe none of the people that auditioned.
No,
I don't know. You're looking at the wrong girl if you want an explanation for this choice. But I know I was like, that's
I just
really
don't
bold.
Understand.
Yeah.
I was like, God,
it's really bold. So anyway, they're at the funeral. The aunt's very well beloved by the town. And in walks the bagpipe man.
Listen, if he shows up and he plays Another One Bites the Dust on the bagpipes. And honestly, if a large Scottish man showed up at my aunt's funeral playing the bagpipes to Another One Bites the Dust, I also would probably creep my pants a little bit. Like,
you just have these turns of phrase sometimes. And I'm just like, why?
That's a thing.
I know. I don't like it.
You don't like a lot of things.
That's not true. I'm very likable.
You don't like a lot of my things.
That's not true.
Also, you being likable has nothing to do with you liking.
I was trying to do a little switcheroo.
This doesn't count. Sorry about that. Doesn't work. Sorry. My brain just jumped approximately 2 scales. I'm going to explain how
leap.
Yeah, no, I'm going to explain how I got. So I just adjusted my bra, and that made me think about how I was looking through old pictures yesterday. And I saw a picture of me from the back where I was wearing a real bra, and you could like the permanent dents in my shoulders from the bra were really obvious. And I was like, oh, that reminds me of that. And then that reminded me of the fact that the reason I was looking through old folders was because I'm going through my photos and like I'm deleting a bunch of them because even though like I still have like memory left.
Wow.
There were 27,000 photos,
Absolutely.
and most of them are just 100 different versions of the same photo.
Yes.
You know. Anyway, I'm in March 2018. Like that was 1,000 photos deleted.
Absolutely.
Point. It's not relevant at all to what we're talking about, other than the fact that it's very stressful.
Was that the punchline?
That
it is so stressful. I know.
I wanted to tell you about how I was deleting photos, but I needed to explain how I got there because it had nothing to do with what I was talking about.
You want to hear something sad? Well, first of all, we have Amazon, right? Amazon Photo that like comes with Amazon Prime. I ran out of video storage on that a while ago. I started paying for Google storage. Oh, no. It's 91% full.
Oh no. You gotta go through and delete. What are you doing?
But now I'd have to go through and delete on like 3 separate platforms.
Yeah.
It's really rude. Does no one else think about that? How do they
advice to all listeners. When purchasing a phone, oftentimes to purchase the phone that is more memory, that is the most memory, is not that much more expensive.
I just feel like...
And it will save you hours of time and suffering to just get the phone that has the most memory.
Yeah, I just feel like it's somehow not an issue for most people, and I don't know what I'm doing wrong. I guess it's also, I need to, I don't know. Like, how do most people not struggle with this?
Well, your problem could also be the fact that you have about 1 million TikTok drafts, and those take up quite a lot of room.
No, it's the photos. Like, you're right, but like the primary problem. My messages do also take up a decent amount of space, but like, I don't really want to delete those. Like, I just don't want to. I like having, I don't know. I like having a record. Anyway, back to the funeral. In walks the bagpipe man. He's with a very tall, pregnant Black woman.
Who is from the first book.
Yeah, I think, yeah. So there was So, but Xeni's first thinks that they're like together, but they're not. This is her cousin. And her husband's name is Silas.
His cousin-in-law.
Yeah, sure. And they have little Palilla, which is another cute name in this book. It's the little girl, her first daughter.
It's interesting that you found that cute. It's also interesting that you wrote that name down, considering that girl appears approximately 2 times.
Yeah, because I was like, these are cute names. We got Xeni, Sable, Silas, Palilla. Also, some of the town girls had cute names, but I didn't write those down.
My only note about the town girls is that they do not talk like teenagers, and I was very glad that we had limited interaction with them going forward. I was like, that was silly.
It was.
I also realized this book is part, like, it can definitely be read as a standalone, but it's part of a larger cinematic universe. Yeah. And there's a book. Okay, like it's the second book in a series, but the first book is about one of her friends back in LA. It's the doctor friend.
Yeah, I realized that.
But the love story between Mason's cousin and the pregnant Black woman that we just met is also has a book, but it's not, like, it's weird to me that they're
like those two aren't related. Yeah, that's interesting.
Series.
Have you read? Like, interesting.
No, okay. I just looked through the,
like, you're sure that like they're not somewhat related, like the cousin somehow knows the doctor or something, or like.
But they're two different
series. Interesting. So what series is this? So what series is this book part of?
I don't know, whatever.
Probably the cousin one. I mean, that's the more like.
This series is connected because it's Xeni and her friend. Like, Xeni's the connection.
Oh, so it's part of that. Oh, so it's part of that series. No, what series is this book a part of? Which one of those two?
The doctor who marries her male nanny.
Oh, that's bold, because that's like much less a part of it. Like, they just like throw that in a few times. They're like, Xeni was there for her friend too, and her heartbreak,
like, was introduced, I guess.
Yeah, but Silas was. I mean, Mason was introduced.
Yeah, but the other series, that the one that the cousin is a part of, it seems like it's more like and we get a hint to that in this book. It's more like a thriller-esque here. Like there's more like,
yeah,
because she's like running from someone who's trying to kill her.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
like, I guess
that.
that makes sense that, that would be part of it. Seems like the other books in that series are also like thriller-esque. But
Interesting. Well, yeah, it's just interesting because that was much more like a part of this story. Like that got meant like she becomes friends with like the
spend the
hero
whole
from
time.
that.
She spends the whole time there.
So basically, Mason was also friends with the aunt. That's the Scottish bagpipe man playing Another One Bites the Dust at the funeral. And they like both show up at a meeting with like the lawyers to like read the will or whatever.
But just before that, Xeni is dumping her ashes in the river, and she's like, I hope a fish eats her ashes so that she'll live again.
Oh my God. Do we ever get told like what the aunt died of? Like, why is she dead?
I don't know. Old age.
But she can't be that old. She's younger than Xeni's mom.
Is she?
Yeah.
Oh. I don't know why I assumed she was like the oldest sister.
She wasn't. It doesn't make sense. Oh, also, like the mom wouldn't be that old. Like, it doesn't make sense. Xeni's only 30.
Yeah.
Also, another thing is that the aunt was like a famous singer, and previously all the sisters were part of the girl band, but like then the aunt, they all like stopped, and the aunt.
So it's like the Jackson 5, and then the aunt was Michael Jackson.
Yes, exactly. Or like Beyonce, and like previously,
but it wasn't her sisters. It wasn't her.
Sure. Then the aunt's like super rich and like, but doesn't get along with the rest of the family.
Like super rich. The aunt
like
is
moved across.
Rich.
Yeah, really, really rich.
And I'm gonna be honest, like Xeni's family never endeared themselves to me. The more I learned about Xeni's family, the more I was like, cut these fuckers off. You don't owe them anything.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but like, yeah, I don't know.
Her mom could be like, where's the jewelry? And then like in her will, Sable was like, don't let my sisters have the jewelry. And I was like, why are you?
Yeah, I thought that was going to be explained a little bit more.
No, it didn't. It was, I think it was just part of the dynamic of like the sisters fighting and, just to like establish more color.
Yeah. Story. So they walk in and talk to the lawyer. Mason literally doesn't fit in the room or the chair because he's too big. And it turns out the will is like, I leave to my daughter Xeni this stuff. And Xeni's like, hold up, what? And it turns out that Sable is her real mother.
It's her biological mother, yeah.
Yeah. But she was raised by her mother/aunt.
And they've all been lying to her like this whole time. And they never planned on telling her. Like Sable was not supposed to tell her at all. So they were never going to tell her the truth. But before like that sort of becomes clear, she like is shown her original birth certificate and like, as proof. But before that, she's like, listen, like, I mean, if you guys like, I don't know how legal this is. Like, is this going to like mess up? Like, if I accept this, even though I'm not her, even though we forged this birth certificate, like, is that going to mess up the inheritance? They're like, we're not committing fraud. But she's just ready to go along with it. I mean, she's like,
well, it's bold of her to like ask. I feel like if you're ready to go along with it, you just like shut up and like take the money. Like ask questions later. I'm sorry. What? Yeah. She is like not nearly. Anyway, the one caveat to that is that she has to marry the big bagpipe man who can't fit in the fucking chair. And if she does that, she'll get like all the money, which is like a shit ton. It's like $23 million. And he'll get $100,000, which is great for him because he's like in debt to his dad and he's been exiled to the States to like pay off the debt. And we don't know like why. And it really never makes sense. I'll leave it there.
I'm going to be honest. I was like, why is he paying his dad?
No, I know.
Like, it doesn't. We'll get to that when it's like revealed.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. So they're basically like, okay, like
we'll get married for 30 days.
Yeah.
And then we'll inherit.
Yeah.
But she has to think about it. She's like, oh, I don't know. Like, do I really want the money this bad? I was like, girl, $23 million. And you're doing like a prenup to make like they do like a prenup and a postnup to make sure that he doesn't get anything.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
But
even
like,
if he tried.
But I'm sorry, even if he did, it's still better than no money. Like otherwise she gets zero money.
She gets the money, she gets the house, she gets all these big investment portfolios, she gets a bunch of hidden, so like even, she gets a house on Martha's Vineyard, which was not utilized at all.
Even if he had found a way to screw her over, like she's still way better off than not. Like,
yeah, I was like,
I mean, I'm sorry, it's just so stupid. It's like, and then she's a teacher, like a kindergarten teacher. At the end of this, she's like, I'm gonna keep my job.
Well, it's like when people win the lottery and then they quit their jobs, and then like in 2 years they're bankrupt. So she's actually being smart about it.
Well, she could quit her job and not spend all the money.
I know.
I feel like it's like reading the narrative of like,
teaching.
well, people just need to stay busy. Like they need, it's like, no, the pandemic proved I'm actually totally fine doing nothing.
Listen, if you like, some people genuinely do like their jobs, and more power to them. Like if you like teaching kids, like I can see how that would be fun. Especially like kindergartners, it's babysitting. You're just babysitting a bunch of kids.
Right. That's a lot of work.
If you like it, if you really like it, I don't know.
But you could do anything. I'm sorry. It's become an unconstrained optimization. It's just really hard to believe that like the thing that you had to be paid to do before, you would now choose to do doesn't matter.
She's still getting paid to do it.
Right. But she doesn't need the money even a little bit.
Sure. Except that we don't know how much she gives to her family, but she's definitely like throughout the book, there's like never a doubt in her mind
even
that
if
she's going to give some of it to her
even
family.
If she only kept 1/23 of it, $1 million.
I know.
The interest from that is like at least as much as she's getting paid to be a California kindergarten teacher. Like, right? Am I wrong?
In LA, right? They're in LA.
Okay.
Right.
So maybe she needs to keep like 1.5 23rds to match her salary. Like that's like $60,000 a year. Anyway, they're both bi. That's a fun fact. That's part of the drama with him for some reason. And then they're like scheduling their wedding, and the county clerk is like really crabby about it.
Yeah, they really dislike the county clerk, and I was like, I don't understand why y'all are being
like why that has
so
to be
grumpy about her. Well, basically, so they're like, listen, if we have to get married, like even though we're just doing it a formality, like let's have a part, you know what I mean? Like let's have like a ceremony at a party, you know, just to like do it our own way or whatever. And so they get the county clerk, who also officiates because she's like the only one that can officiate, and like she like does it really quickly, and like it doesn't add enough romance for them.
Right.
Just like, again, like guys, you're doing this for the party mostly.
And then they're like oh, it's because she's a witch, of course.
It doesn't.
Like, right.
It doesn't. Oh yeah, Xeni's also a witch. That's kind of sprinkled in. It's not really, it's just, again, there's just a lot of things that are just like added for color.
Yeah. Which was really interesting because then there was so much that was just like said instead of told. I don't know. I just feel like if we were going to like add in.
Yeah. I mean, it was a very short book.
Right. And yet
there was both a lot and not a lot.
Yeah.
We also at this point randomly get that Xeni has had 2 miscarriages, and that's just dropped.
No,
and not
she
addressed.
Hasn't had, no. She's been pregnant twice. 1 miscarriage, 1 abortion.
Well, yeah, that she lost. At this point, I think it's like she like had been pregnant
and
twice.
She doesn't want kids, and he doesn't either, which is good.
Yeah.
Yes.
But like that's not addressed. She just says like, oh, she'd been pregnant twice. It's one line, and then it's not addressed until like chapters later. And I was like, what? We're just gonna casually, let's not speed past that. Like that's a pretty big character.
Yeah. So they basically hang out after the wedding and sleep together, which is fun. They're like, we're married. Yeah.
He wears a kilt to the wedding.
But no bagpipes.
Sadly. Also, there's a scene in which I think when she was going over to Silas and like, you know, like the cousin farm.
Yeah.
There's a big dog that scares her. And I was like, how'd you feel? Did you feel represented about that?
Yeah. Wait, does it scare her? I thought she just like noted the dog and like wasn't scared.
She gets like surprised because it like bounds up to her. It's not it doesn't end up being aggressive, but at first she's like, oh my God, I don't fuck with big dogs.
No, I know. People need to like get control of their fucking dogs. There's a dog that was barking for 2 hours yesterday morning, kept me up.
There was a cat that was scratching at my door for an hour this morning. That even though we have a cat door now.
Oh, you got it installed? Are you kidding me?
Scratches and she knows how to use the cat door. She's been taught. What she does is she scratches at the door for like, you know, a while, and then eventually she'll start hitting her paw against the cat door, and then finally she'll go through the cat door.
Okay.
And she started getting lazy about jumping on my bed. Sometimes she like does the full leap, and sometimes she like
does the mountain climber thing.
She scales the fucking like duvet. All I hear is like these tearing claw sounds in the dark. I'm like, what are you doing? She's a menace. Anyway, my problem has not been solved because she's like so really passive aggressive about using the cat door.
Does every door have a cat door now?
No, it's just mine and Stefan's.
Oh, not for me.
No, sorry.
So
His Bob isn't
sad.
dead. Is you can't.
Okay, but they could lock it though. Well, hopefully, like
No,
you're
but
not.
these cat
What?
doors we had to like snap off the lock because they got jammed.
Oh
It was a
my
whole
God.
debacle.
Well, I feel like you can't snap it back on. Well, you're as long as you're never opening the door for her, hopefully eventually she'll figure it out.
She the thing is she
I mean,
knows
give
she's
up.
being
She'll get,
passive aggressive
yeah.
about it.
That's so funny. Why is she like that? She just wants you to serve her. Serve me.
So I no, but she started coming in at like between the hours of 5:30 to 6:30 every day,
Oh my
demanding
God.
attention.
Oh my
And
God.
she started, what she does is when I listen, I pet her a little bit and then I'm like, all right, I'm going back to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
And then she jumps on the floor and starts chewing my charging cable
Mm-hmm.
because she knows that'll get my attention.
You have to be strong, I guess, and not
Let
like
her eat
look at
my
her.
charging cable.
No, well, maybe not pet her
She
at
will
all.
bite me, Rachel. When
Push her
she wants
away.
attention, she comes up and I'll have like, I'll be sleeping on my side. My forearm / elbow will be exposed and she'll just go in right at the elbow crease, like right where the bend is. Chop. And listen, she doesn't break skin, but it hurt. Like it's not like a nip. It used to be a nip. She started to do it harder.
Oh my God.
And the internet told me I should just bite her back, but I haven't worked myself up to that yet. Because
Really? Why
that's how
not?
cats learn.
How
That's
hard
like
it
part of
is.
like single kitten syndrome, right? Is when they
Yeah.
don't like learn that kind of stuff. They learn it because when they're play fighting and then the other cat bites them, they're like, oh, that hurts. I'm not going to do that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So she needs to learn not to
I feel
bite
like she was
hard.
taught though. I feel like she was not a single kitten. She knew.
Yeah, but she needs to know that I'm not going to tolerate.
Oh my God.
No.
Shelby texted me like 2 days ago and was like, do you want two cats? One of which maybe has asthma. The other one wants to be fed at 4 a.m. And I was like, no.
No,
And
I
it
did
turns
not.
out Sam got them and like apparently was trying to toilet train them as kittens. And like it worked kind of, but then it stopped working. And so then she got like they started like missing or like peeing in her bed. And she got litter. One of them had like an asthma attack or like allergic reaction or something.
You can get litter that doesn't have dust. There's a lot
Yeah,
of
that's what I
different
said.
types.
Yeah, I think they're, yeah, I know. I think they're probably gonna
Like,
try that.
how hard did she try to train? Did she do the cage?
No, I'm saying toilet. I think that's, it took me a second too. Toilet training, like going in the toilet, like what mom wanted to do.
Oh,
Right. And so that's what failed. And so now she's doing just normal like litter box.
yeah, that
I know.
pretty bold.
I know. Listen.
Pretty bold of her to attempt that.
I know.
They're also talking about right before, but like while just like more about the wedding is that like they're like, oh, like, maybe we can like one of our friends can get ordained online and then they can immediately perform the wedding. And I'm like, not to be nitpicky, but as someone who is ordained online, you actually can't do that. You have to like get your documents and then you have to file them with the local county clerk.
That's true. Who is this woman?
Yes. And it's not like they don't have to give you permission. You just have to be like, hey, just want to let you know, I have permission to marry people. But like you can't, it's not a same day thing. I'm sorry.
Definitely.
That's always a trope
physical paperwork
in like sitcoms and like shit. I'm like, unfortunately not. Unfortunately not the case.
So
they sleep together, but they're like, first they're like, oh, we both sleep naked. And they're like, we'll platonically sleep in the same bed next to each other and we won't fuck naked. And I just, you're not even trying. She also, while he's fingering her, calls it the 2-finger tickle. And I would like to say that I will be exclusively referring to fingering as the 2-finger tickle from this point forward.
Yeah. I just thought it was interesting that, I don't know, I forget what the phrasing, but it was like, she's like, I'm bi, but then like I had like something about, she was like, but Sable like knew I needed a husband or something. Like, I don't know, something about it was weird, like a few times. It was just like phrase. I don't know.
Oh, interesting.
Is this when he tells her about like why he's in the States?
No, he does that the next day when he's making her dinner, but I have several notes about this sex scene. We also get that she can't wrap her hands around his dick. And Absolutely. I would like, this is like a part, that viral TikTok video about that girl who was like holding up like measuring tape and being like, this is 12 inches. Like, do you understand?
Oh, yeah.
Like, this is,
Right.
This is like the sister to that. Like, what is the obsession with giving heroes dicks that require the heroine to be like 8 centimeters dilated? Like, I just, it doesn't need to be like your hands, unless you have baby hands. There's no reason for it to be that big.
No, I know. It's bold. Listen, he's too big to fit in a chair. It's proportional.
He also eats her out, and she's like, her juices were on his beard, and I hated that. I put a little nausea emoji next to that.
You saying things like creamed my pants. I don't want to say it. Makes me feel.
And also he says at one point, he's like, I licked it, so it's mine. And I got flashbacks to the stories of, so listen, our mom, went to school in the 60s and 70s. Oh
yeah, I was thinking about that yesterday because I've had
and apparently yes, at lunch in the cafeteria there would be like a basket of bread, like you get it at a restaurant. And apparently what the children would do in order to claim their bread is they would go up, lick the piece of bread that they wanted to claim, and then like put it back in the basket so that no one else would take it. And that's all I could think of when he said, I licked it, so it's mine.
Oh my God. Listen, it's not bad logic. If it's true, it's true. Needs must. So, okay. So we find out tomorrow, the next day, he tells her how he ended up being in the US and like in debt to his dad. So like, first of all, he has family land. There is a castle. So that's good news. Basically, he like was dating this man when he was in college. They were so happy. And then his dad found out and like threatened the man to make him break up with Mason. So Mason was sad. And then the dad was like, you're going to work for my friend's company. And also you're going to marry his daughter. And Mason was like, sure. What could go wrong with that?
He sets him up with a daughter, and he's like, I actually kind of liked her. Her name is like, Moira, because of course it is.
Yeah, like actually kind of liked her. Like, and then for some reason they are like about to get married, and that's like when he tells her his dating history, and he's like, yeah, I'm bi. And then she like seems cool with it, but then like doesn't show up for the wedding. Like,
yeah, stands him up at the altar.
Stands him up at the altar. That's the word. No, there's another word for it. Anyway,
jilts him.
Sure. And then the dad gets really mad, and he's like, you have to pay me back for the wedding because I borrowed money, and also for law school.
It's a little more. So first of all, she tells everybody that he's gay, and then he's like, why did you tell me that? And she's like, well, I know you're not gay, but like I thought there's always the risk that you'll like fuck a man. And I was like, Moira, you can go drown in a lock. Like, go throw yourself into a lock. I'm done with you. No, what it was that Moira's dad paid for the wedding. Cause like, the bride's father pays for the wedding.
Right.
And then Moira's dad talked to Mason's dad and was like, you need to pay me back for this wedding. Right. And I was like, excuse me, Moira was the one that called it off. Like, if we're talking about fault.
No, I know. It's so bold. And like, I'm sorry. Like, no, also like, even if the dad was like, okay, you're good a business partner, it's worth it to me to like appease you. That's simply not Mason's problem. Like, that just makes no sense. Also, I'm sorry. Law school in Scotland is just undergrad. And like, correct me if I'm wrong, but undergrad in Scotland is like free, basically. What exactly was he paying the dad back for?
I don't know. Lodging. It's not totally free. It's cheaper than in the US.
Sure, but like, what do you mean lodging?
Like to live at the college, room and board.
I don't know. It doesn't make sense. It's also like not that much money. And Mason's like, I'll never be able to pay this back in 25 years. It's like $40,000.
No, it's $100. Oh.
No.
I thought it was. I had it.
It's not I don't think it's not the full amount.
Yeah.
No, it's not the full amount.
Well, but to be fair, Mason is working like at a bakery. Basically,
well, yeah, but that's like just a real choice. I don't know. I'm with the dad on that one. Like, why? I'm sorry.
To be a musician,
sure. He's not doing that. It just doesn't make any sense why he'd pay. Listen, if someone tells you have to pay them back a lot of money, do your due diligence on whether that's legally required. And even if it is, like, I'm sorry, nothing's mandatory unless you don't want to pay the consequences. So like, that's crucial information, people.
Okay.
Anyway, he's committed to this, but now it's like paid off. Like once he gets the money from the wedding, he's gonna like he immediately wires it and pays it out off. Then he's like, how do you feel about pegging? And she's like, absolutely, I do. And they order a bunch of sex toys online.
God. And we get it on, I wrote,
we do
pegging with like 10 exclamation points. And then I said,
that's really why you picked this book, isn't it?
I swear to God, if we don't get this on page, I was like, I'm tired of authors making pegging a conversation point and then not giving us the scene. But we did.
I knew you'd love that. Did you know that was in this book? Is that really why you picked it?
No.
Oh wow! Look at
It
that.
was a fun surprise.
Listen, a win is a win.
Yeah, they order a bunch of sex toys. I was like, you guys met 48 hours ago and you're going all in.
Committed. Well, they're rich now. They're rich. They can
That's
like
well,
splurge
she's
on the
rich.
big.
He's like middle. He's comfortable.
Sure. But they're married, so community property. He also has been like cooking for her, which is nice. Turns out he doesn't actually like to cook because it's become like a demand. Like he doesn't like it, which is really nice.
So he doesn't cook for anyone outside of work, but he cooks for her because he's like, maybe after we get divorced, I'll ask you out on a date. And I'm like, okay. By the end of the book, I'm like, why are we still talking about getting a divorce? I just don't understand. Why are you guys still talking about this? Like, you're a couple. By the end of the, like, as we get to the closer to the end.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. I actually probably would never occur to me. It does make sense. Like, why would they stay married? Why wouldn't they like date and then have a real wedding? That makes a lot more sense.
I mean, sure.
I mean, I guess not. I guess maybe it's less paperwork. So like maybe that's what I don't know.
I
don't know.
One of the things that I did like about Rebekah Weatherspoon's writing style was that she doesn't feel the need to clarify when a character is joking or being sarcastic. One of my pet peeves is when a character says something that is just so obviously sarcastic. You're like, if this isn't sarcastic, then this character is an asshole, and we're clearly not supposed to think this character is an asshole. And yet the author will still say like, she said sarcastically. Or like he joked when it's like obviously a joke. I'm like, you don't have to tell us. I understand it's there's just something about it, and Rebekah Weatherspoon doesn't do that. She doesn't say he joked, and I like it.
Good. I didn't notice that, but I support it. Absolutely.
Is it one of your pet peeves?
No.
Okay, so that's what you do.
No, yeah, I know. Yeah. I know, I'm supportive. Listen. Also, apparently, so she's talking about things she likes to do, and it's like watching reality shows is one of it. Which, speaking of which, I saw an episode of Naked and Afraid for the first time. You like don't really win anything for that. They pay you kind of for your missed work, but it sounds kind of like jury duty.
No, you just do it for props. I know. I have a book. I forgot
to mention my subpoena. The jury duty thing just reminded me of that. My fucking subpoena.
We just finished jury duty on Amazon, but wait, talk about your subpoena.
Yeah, so harkening back to when I got T-boned by a person who ran a red light at an intersection. This is all on tape, by the way. And their insurance company gave me such a hard time that I ended up just going through my insurance company, and then like they're going to get reimbursed from the other one if they can ever determine fault. Because I just got a subpoena in the mail to come be a witness in this person's criminal trial for running a fucking red light, which must mean like that they're fighting it. Like they're like, no, I didn't run a red light, which is insane because it's on camera. Like I wasn't even the first person through the intersection. Like another girl went through before me on the green light. She pulled over and like stopped to come check on me. Like the person got a ticket, like the cop, like it's just wild. And it's at 8 a.m. also, which I just feel like I'm being re-victimized. Like, anyway.
If you want a happy experience with jury duty, I recommend jury duty on Amazon.
Now I'm worried that somehow it's going to be my fault.
How?
I don't know. That just occurred to me. Anyway.
Watch jury duty on Amazon. It's very wholesome.
So they decided to get real wedding rings, which is nice. Just like, why not?
And he, once again, we get an emphasis on how large he is, and the person is like, don't worry, my uncle Seamus had big thumbs, so I keep big rings or something silly like that. But the ladies, she's like, don't worry. Oh, speaking of reality TV, this is what I thought you were going to bring up. I learned from this book that there's a French version of the Great British Bake Off.
Did I
you
not
didn't
say
that? I thought you were going to say that.
Because I meant to. I was about to say it. That's the next thing I wrote down. And then I remembered my thing. Yeah, I know. Have you found it?
No,
look?
I literally I learned that in the moment, wrote it down, and then it completely disappeared from my head. And now I'm rediscovering that there is a French version of the Great British Bake Off.
Oh my
I'm gonna
God.
type that into Google.
Increíble.
Horrible. Is it called Le Moulier Pâtissier or something?
Oh, that
I
was
don't
pretty
know.
good. That was pretty good pronunciation. Not that I speak French. Do you think it's called the Great French Bake Off, or do you think it's called French British
No,
Bake Off? Manon.
no,
It
it's
comes up with the French
neither.
like contestants. Le
Le
Moulier
Moulier
Pâtissier.
Pâtissier is not the Great
Is
French
France's
Bake
answer
Off.
to Bake Off worth a watch? It's not.
No, pâtissier does not like, that's the something like pastry maker,
Oh wow,
pastry chef.
they really did a great job finding an identical old lady, like same exact
I
vibe.
mean, how hard
And
is
it
it
still
in
looks
Europe?
British. Yeah, but
In
it's still
Northern
like
Europe, how difficult.
that's true. It still looks British, like they're dressed. At first glance, it appears identical to the British version. It means the best baker, apparently.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
20 territories, and I found myself hooked on the French offering. Where do we see it?
I'll have to do more digging
Cyril
after this
Lignac
episode.
is the French Paul Hollywood. It's broadcast on commercial channel and later in the evening.
Gross.
So frankly, they can get away with more than the family-friendly Bake Off, which originated on the BBC, but has since moved to Channel 4.
But the like the
Gory
draw.
and horror. No, they have gory and horror bakes. And then they had a 50 Shades of Cream week.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, as long as it's still wholesome in terms of like they're all nice to each other. Because that's the draw of the Great British Bake Off, is that they're all nice to each other. The
tent was decorated inappropriately with discarded negligee strewn around the tent and, bemusingly, rubber ducks on each baker's bench dressed like Playboy bunnies and sailor girls. The bakers tried their hands at a variety of risque bakes, from sugar paste handcuffs to cakes in the shape of men's boxer shorts, and a technical challenge making les tétons de Venus, the nipples of Venus cakes.
Oh, I think I'm going to have to put aside my hatred of the French language and watch this.
Don't worry. Even if you don't speak a word of French, it's not hard to follow. It's not just the familiar format that helps, but the instantly familiar highs and lows of the contestants. The excitement at being inside the tent, the nerves at being judged, the elation of success and despair at disaster are, it turns out, universal. And thank God there are no Hollywood handshakes. I love that everyone hates that.
Everyone hates it. No, see, the thing is I used to like the Hollywood handshake when it was actually something special, when it was something that he did like once a season, and you're like, oh, like, yay, like my favorite contestant got the Hollywood handshake, but now he gives them out like 3 times an episode.
Yeah, but I feel like we also were like, who do you think you are, dude? Like, get out of here.
Yes, but I'm saying I didn't, perhaps like is too strong a word. I didn't mind them.
You didn't like
when it was just like, when it was just something that you were like, oh, like he did this season's Hollywood handshake. Like my favorite contestant got it.
Yeah.
And now it's like everyone and their mother got a Hollywood handshake.
Yeah.
Anyway, then speaking of that, they go to a restaurant and they dirty talk, and she touches his dick under the table, but still in the middle of the restaurant. And the restaurant workers don't get paid enough for this. I've said it time and time again. He also lives above this restaurant. And I bet that when they go up to fuck immediately after this, the workers can hear them. I bet you.
Well, that's okay.
Horrible. The workers do not get paid enough for this. Yeah. Also, we get the line, after she'd sucked his life out of him through his cock.
Oh my God.
That felt very like Jennifer's body to me.
So they're like, so then they go and like unpack the house, like he helps, or like pack up Sable's house and like find stuff. And we don't really find anything that cool, which is disappointing. And then
it's fair. We don't get a lot of details about that.
They had agreed to not tell their parents about the marriage because of like this aforementioned Silas wife drama plot from the last book, like that somehow caused problems. But then her mom calls and she like answers and tells her. And then
this is like the third phone call she has with her mom, where her mom just won't tell her, like won't give any explanation to the whole like motherhood drama.
Right. And then for some reason she like feels guilty. Like the mom like starts trying to guilt her for not telling her about the wedding. Then she feels guilty, and then like Mason feels guilty. It just doesn't make any sense.
They do it in the middle. Isn't this when Mason is like playing his bagpipes
I
for the
guess
town?
I guess
does,
this
like,
goes
weekly
along with the
performances.
whole like marriage having inherent meaning that I've never fully grasped. Like, is that what this is?
I just like, if my kid was like, yeah, I got married for the money, I'd be like, cool.
Right. I don't get
If
it.
you decide to stay with this person,
But I told you
we'll do a wedding
you
later.
I told you I realized like I had like and I'm sure I've come to this realization before and just forgot, but like not like some people really, it is like literally, yeah, it's crazy. Anyway.
And we're not even like children of divorce. I mean, our parents are divorced, but like they didn't get divorced till we were adults. So like,
I think it's a neurotypical thing. I don't understand. No, I really do. I mean,
it feels like it's like an arbitrary social rule. Like there's really no.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Anyway, they feel guilty for some reason.
The mom, she was like, she tells her parents, they freak out. And she's like, oh no, there's consequences to my actions. And like the way that she's thinking about this for like at least a chapter is that like it was an accident. But I was like, it was totally preventable. You you brought it up. You didn't have to tell your mom.
To tell her. Yeah.
To tell her they were married. I was like,
yeah, I just don't understand. Like, I don't understand why she feels, does she think she feels guilty because she broke the promise to Silas? I thought she felt guilty for not telling her mom.
No, she feels guilty for not telling her mom. But so she acts like it was an accident. And then the next day, she either thinks this or tells Mason that she told her mom because she wanted to hurt her. Like, because like her mom had kept the secret about her like maternity.
Like, fair enough.
I mean, fair enough. Like, that's really fucked up.
And her mom like never actually tells her. She has to like call up another.
They never get the full story. We never get we get an abridged version. We never get the full story. And I was like, listen, I'm fully behind like the person who raised you is your parent. Like biology be damned. Like that's her mother. That's the person who raised her. But like. Fucked up things.
Yeah, they lied to her. Yeah. Anyway, so now they're like fighty for a little bit. And that's when the sex toys and a giant bag of Skittles, which I respect, arrive in the mail. And she's like, oh, we'll probably never get to use this. But they do. They do have a pegging scene.
It sounds nice. I was so nervous during this pegging scene.
I know.
Because I've been so traumatized by authors like pulling the rug out from under me when it comes to pegging, because I thought they were going to get interrupted. Like before that, I thought she was going to like have the strap on and then like there was going to be a knock at the door and like we weren't going to get and then it happened. I was like,
so it happens. And then like the next day, Mason's dad fucking shows up and is like a total dick and is like, how did you pay me back so quickly?
How did you pay me back so quickly? That's not a Scottish accent.
No, that was pretty good.
That's like my bad Irish accent. I've never been able to do a Scottish accent.
How did you pay me back so quickly? No,
that's Irish. It's very leprechaun. No, what I like the way that his dad shows up is like there was a knock at the door. There's like there's like a few paragraphs of like who's at the door. Like, oh, this is going to be something big and consequential. And honestly, half of me was convinced that Aunt Sable was actually going to be alive and that she was going to pop up at the door. I was like, it's her. She's there. Yeah. But no, it was his shitty dad.
Ugh. And he like starts being really fucking rude and then has a heart attack.
Yeah.
Which is
But before that, Mason says this absolutely metal line where he's like, I'm standing on my own 2 feet. You just don't like how it looks from your high horse. I was like, wow. That's a line. Damn.
Also, like, you're apparently bigger than a horse. It doesn't totally add up. He is bigger.
Like, he needs like one of like the Clydesdale like Budweiser horses. Like, if he's gonna ride a horse. Like, his dad is a horse.
And they get him medical care because they're not total monsters. But I
don't think have a thought. One of them has a thought where they're like, I considered. Not calling.
Yeah, I don't know. He's like, it'd be a little easier if she was dead. And then Xeni calls up her like friend who's a heart surgeon because of course, like they do need a new heart, so they don't use the available heart surgeons in the state.
Oh yeah.
And then
Mason says like, I love you, like when she like is leaving the hospital, and she's like internally like, oh, he definitely means it platonically, like not like, I'm in love with you. Yeah, we just pegged each other. Like I just pegged him, but this is definitely platonic.
And then he's like, I'm going to take my dad home. And she's like, oh, good. Like, I wonder where we could get like a room. And he's like, no, I mean home to Scotland. And then he does, which is nice of him.
Yeah. Because he's also like, my mom is finally like leaving my dad. So I have to like go also help her like deal with that fallout. We finally get the story from Xeni's mom. Like she finally, you know, tells the truth.
Well, not the mom. She like calls up another aunt, I thought. She
No,
calls
she
up one of the young
calls,
aunts. She
but the
calls up one of
mom,
the
she calls up one of the young aunts for information, and then like the young aunts like tells her what to say. I don't know. I thought
no,
the
she
mom is
gets
the one who told her the half
so
story.
like basically the Aunt Sable wanted to like was gonna like give the baby up for adoption because of course she couldn't possibly have an abortion. Anyway, whatever. And instead Zenny's mom is like, I'll take her, whatever. So then like she does, but then like throughout the years, Aunt Sable keeps trying to be like, oh, I want her back, but like doesn't really have a plan for like what to do. It's just like
Yeah,
planning
it's
to
like,
like
I'll take
take
her
her.
on tour with me.
Right. And then finally it gets nasty and like the grandma and Zenny's mom like are basically like, we're gonna like sue you for child abandonment or whatever. Which I don't think that's how
Which
that
doesn't
works.
make sense. She didn't. Like, Xeni has
Yeah.
been legally adopted. There's nothing to sue for. Like, what do you mean?
Has she been legally adopted?
Her mom's name is on the birth certificate. Like on
That's
presumably a legal birth certificate.
oh
And
sure.
that's when you're legally adopted, they change your
Yeah,
birth
so they didn't
certificate.
even really need to threaten her with anything. They make it, I feel like no
Wow.
one really understands how legal entitlements work. Like
It
if she is
just
actually
did.
adopted, then she's adopted. Like Sable had no leg to stand on anyway. They
No.
didn't need
But
to
then
like
Sable moves across country. And so like Xeni
yeah.
had this really close relationship with her. And they
Mm-hmm.
essentially, not only did they not tell her that this was her
Right.
biological mother, but they essentially destroyed any possibility of her
Yeah.
having like a close relationship with her.
I know. It doesn't make any sense why they don't tell her. Like that's so dumb. They should
They
have told
were,
her.
I want to emphasize, they were never going to tell
No,
her.
I know.
They were going to
I
go to their
know.
graves.
I know.
I hate them. I never got over this. Xeni does relatively quickly.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, you know what? I don't need the full story. Like, my mom, like, is my mom, even if she gave birth to me. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. But like, that's still a shitty thing to do.
No, I
It's
know.
still shitty.
Yeah. No, I can't. Yeah. So then, yeah, I guess if you're thinking consequentialist, doesn't make a difference, but whatever. So then Mason's like, not that, yeah, it's ridiculous. Mason's like, I'm not coming back from Edinburgh. I'm staying here. We can get a divorce.
But then neither of them sends the papers. Because
Yeah.
they're silly.
And Xeni like goes back with her girl gang. Oh, I like in the beginning, what is she? It was like the United Colors of Feminism or something they call
I don't know.
themselves. I just liked it because it reminded me of United Colors of Benetton, which we were like obsessed
Yeah.
with in Italy. You know, intersectional feminists of Benetton. Absolutely. And then yeah, Mason's mom left his dad, and Mason's like, oh, I feel bad about leaving her with him for all these years, but it's like I don't know. It seems like if anything, she should feel bad for leaving you with him.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, she like, was she also a victim of
Yeah.
abuse? But like, you still have a parental responsibility to
Yeah. I
protect your
mean, I guess
children.
now he's like 30 something, but it seems like the dad was always shitty.
These parents are very willing to forgive. These kids are very willing to forgive parents, and I would be holding on to these grudges for years. I would never let this go. As you know, like I've demonstrated this. How many times have I brought up the work Barbie doll? Listen, let me tell you this story. So
we told the story before. You can tell it again.
Well,
I
for
probably
the new listeners, I got a Barbie doll for my birthday one year when I was like 7, and it was my favorite fucking present. I was so excited about it. And listen, we as a family, we regifted things because you're going to like 20 different kids' birthday parties a year. You're getting like, that's expensive. You can't buy that many new gifts. So like, you take some of the things and you like regift them, and that's fine. I totally understand that. But instead of taking, I don't know, the totally useless like miniature porcelain tea set that I got from someone, my mom takes the work Barbie doll, and I was like, I remember specifically like, where is it? Like, where did it go? And him being like, oh, I don't know. Years later, we're in the attic going through the trove of gifts to give to one of Stefan, our little brother's, like a birthday party he's going to. Lo and behold, I find the work Barbie doll there. He didn't even re-gift it. I could have played with it this whole time, but it was just sitting in the attic. Anyway, I've mostly let it go.
Oh, right.
My mom and I had a hard. No, I haven't brought it up in a few years at least.
To him.
No, I'm using this as a demonstration of
I
how
know.
long I can hold a grudge against a parent. And
Sure.
for something as small as
Not
a Barbie
really holding
doll,
grudge.
imagine what it would be like
Oh my God.
for a parent
It's
who
like
who lied to
citizenship.
me about my parentage and or allowed someone to abuse. Like, that's lifetime. I'm never getting over that shit.
Like the Serbian citizenship. Not really though.
I get more mad about the Serbian citizenship the more years go by. Like, my anger grows. It's not.
I know. I feel like it's gonna really
it's
come
not
back to bite us. It's gonna really, I don't know, knock on wood, hopefully not. But
yeah, anyway. He comes to her nice new house, is like, all I want in life is you.
I hate doing dishes, but I scrub a mean toilet, which is nice.
Listen, we love a division
alternating chores. Pick someone who likes opposite chores or hates opposite.
Strengths.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then the epilogue is just everyone is happy and they're living together, and Mason is working as a musician in LA.
Yay!
Which is very easy because her family has a lot of music connect. Her family was like a famous. They have like
he became friends with Aunt Sable. Like, you would think that upstate New York town was not the place to go. The
reason Aunt Sable is so rich is because she bought the rights to the whole family's catalog and now just makes royalties off. So like, whatever. Yeah,
smart.
That's the end.
The end
of Xeni by Rebekah Weatherspoon.
Weatherspoon. Is that her real name? Or is it a pseudonym?
I did also look up to see whether she was British because I was trying to find any explanation for why there is a British narrator. She's not. She like lives in California.
Oh, maybe
she was born in the US.
Okay. Well, maybe this narrator has done like other books where it made sense, and then they were like, "You're a good narrator. We like working with you. We're like used to it."
He wasn't even a good narrator.
Maybe he was good for like those other books. Who is he? Did we look up
one
of
my notes that I didn't say? I looked him up. He's like a 50s, 60s
Anthony Ferguson,
British man.
Anthony Petit.
Literally, one of the notes that I didn't say was like, "Oh, I want to read these other books that are like referenced in this book, like but not if this narrator's narrating."
Classically trained actor.
Yeah, okay. Well, you clearly weren't classically trained to do an American accent.
Native of London. What does classically trained even mean? Like you learned on the classics?
There's like a certain program because there's different like methods of teaching acting.
Latin and Greek.
And so there's like classical.
Oh, interesting. That's bold. Okay. Catskill?
Anyway, Catskill. No cats.
0 cats.
A few dogs, but no real presence.
Big dogs.
Wouldn't say either of them are cats.
No.
Her family are snakes. Like, am I wrong?
No.
She's surrounded by snakes. Also, when all of her cousins start to find out that she inherited, she's like, yeah, I keep getting texts from cousins who've like found out because someone she told like one person and then that person spilled.
Oh, I missed that. Wow. That's really
I was
bold.
like, don't give them a single. She's like, yeah, I'll probably give them each something. I'm like, don't give them a goddamn penny.
Yeah, like the aunt would have left some to them if she wanted to. Like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, if the aunt liked them, she would have given them.
Thought
actually, no, the aunt already did.
No, she did.
Already did give them money.
I thought she did,
but she just gave Xeni the bulk of it.
And
so these cousins already got money.
Yeah.
And her one cousin is like, she gets a text from like one of her cousins who's like, yeah, it's not fair that you got more. It's like, you're gonna split it between us, right? And I was like,
yeah,
block his number.
I know it's just really bold. I just like I feel like people are like, oh, like inheritance money like ruins relationships, but like if that's like if it
reveals flaws in relationships that are existing.
Exactly. Like, yeah, exactly. Like that means, yeah, like if someone sends you a text like that, like I'm sorry, you were already like, that's just like, really bold. Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing to note is the existence of the Scottish wildcat or whatever it's called. He is Scottish. You know, like there's like that wildcat that lives in Scotland. It's critically endangered because of all the house cats. Yeah. It's like the black-footed cat, maybe.
Scottish wildcat. Oh my God. He's so angry looking.
Yeah, I know. And like interbreeds with domestic cats. That's why it's like now pretty much endangered.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
There's a YouTube video that's called The Last King of Scotland.
Oh.
It's the cat.
Highlands.
Oh, I hope I see one when I go to Scotland.
When are you going?
Keep an eye out for him in August.
Oh, exciting!
Mm-hmm.
You excited? I want to watch this video. Scottish wildcat, the Highlander cat.
That's the one that's the last king of Scotland, right?
I want to go to
Where the
Scotland.
thumbnail
No,
says-
it's not. No, I believe
Oh.
the
We
thumbnail.
can go to Scotland. Listen,
Absolutely.
I'd go again.
Good.
All right, Catskill.
Okay.
Let's bring it back.
3, 2, 1, 3.
1.
3 for the Scottish wildcat. They deserve
Oh.
triple the points.
3 for its 3 toes. Actually, they
Does it
have
have 3
more
toes?
than 3 toes. No,
But
that's
they have
not
at least
true.
3 of its toes.
They
get a
have
point.
at least 30 toes.
3 of its toes get a point.
So 2. Good old 2.
Oh, solid,
Nice.
solid. Absolutely. All right, Allison, where can they find us?
You can find us on, I'm not going to do it in that actually. One time when I was studying abroad in London, I took a creative writing class and I wrote a character that was Scottish and I had to read the thing out loud. And I was like, I can't do a Scottish accent. I'm sorry. And then I was like, haha, I can do like a moderate British accent, like a really bad Irish accent. They were like, just do the Irish accent. And I read like 2 lines. And then the professor was like, no, just talk normal. I was like, I told you, I did not pretend to have skills. I did not pretend to have skills that I didn't have.
No, I cannot do it.
I was literally like, I don't think you understand. It's bad. I was
Say
like, it is.
No.
And she's from the UK. So I was like, you're going to think it's even worse than all the other people in this room. Anyway, you can find us on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook at We Read It One Night, on Twitter at We Read It Podcast. You can email us, wereaditonenight@gmail.com. You can leave us a rating and review wherever you're listening. You can do that right now. Save the Scottish wildcat. That's how you do it, by leaving us a rating and review.
Yeah, listen.
Put good energy out into the universe, manifest it. And you can also visit our Etsy store, Evelyn Adelaide, which is also named after our cats, where you can get some delightful merchandise. And we now have stickers.
Ooh,
well, I say
stickers.
We now have stickers as if this episode isn't going to come out like a month and a half after the stickers have already been added to the store.
Listen, new stickers just dropped.
The stickers are there. Maybe I'll have added new ones by the time this one comes out.
Godspeed, comrades.
Godspeed.